This tip is the second in a series of videos looking at possible reasons for your repeated stitch annotations being wrong. Repeated stitch annotating is a tool which you can turn on either when you set up a chart or afterwards, and it automatically adds a number onto any stretch of the same stitch that's appearing multiple times consecutively. So in this example, the annotations are set to be added when there's 5 or more of the same stitch at a time. So we have 7 stitches here with a 7 annotated. We have a run of 5 pink stitches which is annotated, but our run of 4 cyan stitches is not annotated. We have another tutorial video that goes through how to set this up and how you can adjust the appearance of the annotations. You'll find a link to that video in the description below. Recently, a couple of people got in touch who were having a problem where their annotations didn't make sense. In both cases, they had used a border to indicate a repeat on their chart, but Stitch Mastery was not taking the border lines into account for the annotations. So here's an example. The red border is around 12 stitches, and in the key it says to work these stitches 3 times, which would mean 36 stitches between the border lines. But the annotation in this first plain round says 18 stitches, which would be the 12 stitches inside the border lines and the 6 outer stitches. The reason for this is partly that in Stitch Mastery, adding a border means adding a line to the surface of the chart. It doesn't affect your written instructions or the validation tool, which is the number of stitches Stitch Mastery is calculating. So these both think that there are only 18 stitches in each round. The border tool can be used for lots of things other than marking a repeat, so it might be used to indicate a group of stitches that you'll work differently for the placement of a thumb in a mitten or a glove, or a few different things. There's a separate tool in Stitch Mastery for indicating a repeat, which is what will change the actual number of stitches that Stitch Mastery is calculating. We have a few different tutorials about repeats and borders, which will be linked in the description box below. So if we select these stitches and come to repeat in the main menu and place stitches in selection into a repeat, then in the dialog that opens we see that we can add a border to the repeat, and we can choose the border that we already have, so the existing border. And there's also the option to add a qualifier of the number of times you want the repeat to be worked. So we wanted these stitches to be repeated 3 times. So add in the number 3 and we click OK. We'll see that the chart will refresh itself. It might take a little moment. There we go. And now our written instructions understand that there are stitches to be repeated. So our total stitch count is now 42 stitches in both the written output and the outline validation feature. The annotation is now recognising that there's a repeat marked, and so it's counting the stitches within the section separately. So in this plain round we have our 12 stitches within the repeat annotated as 12, and the 5 stitches outside of it annotated as 5, and similarly in round 3, 5 stitches outside of the repeat and 7 stitches within the repeat, and the same in round 5. What Stitch Mastery doesn't do is to total up all of the stitches in a repeat. So you might be expecting it to show 36 here because we've got 12 stitches that are to be worked 3 times. The reason it doesn't do that is because the qualifier can be used to show multiple different sizes. So for instance, if you're offering different sizes for a garment, and you might say work these stitches 3 times for the small size, 4 times for the medium, 5 for the large, or something along those lines. And if that was the case, you might be then having an annotation which is saying 36, 48 or 60 across here. So it's not practical, it would be very confusing. So that is one thing that Stitch Mastery doesn't do. But if you're having quite long sections repeated, you might be instructing the knitter to add a marker, and it's helpful to have the number of stitches within the marker annotated to save them counting it up. If you're having the opposite problem with your annotations and the annotation's suggesting that there's more stitches in the row than you can visually see, you might have added a repeat without the borderline. The first video in this series explains how to check and correct that, and you can find a link to that tutorial video in the description box below.